Chapter 62. The Dart. A word concerning the incident in the last chapter. According to the invariable usage of the fishery, the whaleboat pushes off from the ship with the headsman or whale killer as temporary steersman, and the harpooner or whale fastener pulling the foremost oar, the one known as the harpooner oar. Now it needs a strong, nervous arm to strike the first iron into the fish, for often it is what is called a long dart. A heavy implement has to be flung to the distance of 20 or 30 feet. But however prolonged and exhausting the chase, the harpooner is expected to pull his oar meanwhile to the utmost. Indeed, he is expected to set an example of superhuman activity to the rest, not only by the incredible rowing, but by repeated loud and intrepid exclamations, and what it is to keep shouting at the top of one's compass while all the other muscles are strained and half started. What that is none know but those who have tried it. For one, I cannot bawl very heartily and work very recklessly at one and the same time. In this straining, bawling state, then with his back to the fish, all at once the exhausted harpooner hears the exciting cry, "Stand up and give it to him." He now has to drop and secure his oar, turn around on his center halfway, seize his harpoon from the crotch. With what little strength may remain, he essays to pitch it somehow into the whale. No wonder, taking the whole fleet of whalemen in a body, that out of 50 fair chances for a dart, not 5 are successful. No wonder that so many hapless harpooners are madly cursed and disrated. No wonder that some of them actually burst their blood vessels in the boat. No wonder that some sperm whalemen are absent 4 years with 4 barrels. No wonder that to many ship owners whaling is but a losing concern, for it is a harpooner that makes the voyage, and if you take the breath out of his body, how can you expect to find it there when most wanted? Again, if the dart be successful, then at the second critical instant, that is, when the whale starts to run, the boatheader and the harpooner likewise start running fore and aft to the imminent jeopardy of themselves and everyone else. It is then that they change places, and the headsman, the chief officer of the little craft, takes his proper station in the bows of the boat. Now I care not who maintains the contrary, but all this is both foolish and unnecessary. The headsman should stay in the bows from first to last. He should both dart the harpoon and the lance, and no rowing whatever be expected of him, except under circumstances obvious to any fisherman. I know that this would sometimes involve a slight loss of speed in the chase, but long experience in various whalemen of more than one nation has convinced me that in the vast majority of failures of the fishery it has not by any means been so much the speed of the whale as before described exhaustion of the harpooner that has chased him. To ensure the greatest efficacy of the dart, the harpooners of this world must start to their feet from out of idleness and not from out of toil. This is the end of chapter 62. And it's a short one. And he talks about how the harpooner is rowing the boat and is also shouting out to the men to row. Now, it takes a surprising amount of work to shout while running or while exerting yourself. And so this is one of those things that's like when the military, they march or run together, and you have the sergeant or the, in the army it's the sergeant who leads it, or you have the what am I going for? The chief or the petty officer. The petty officer, Navy, running the recruits. When you have that person running them, marching them, and shouting out, it takes far more effort to shout out while running, because you have to breathe in and out. And when you shout, when you talk, that disrupts your pattern of breathing, because you have to do a measured, controlled exhalation. And if you inhale, exhale, slow exhale to speak, inhale, slow exhale to speak, that takes extra time and extra effort. So here you have the harpooner who is doing full physical work because he's rowing just as hard as everyone else. He is shouting out to cheer the people on, which takes even more effort. And then he has to get up and throw at distance with accuracy. That's just incredible. And here the author says that, not five, 5 out of 50 harpooners will get the whale. So that's 1 in 10. So that's 10%, which is a relatively tiny fraction. Harpooners will get a whale. Now, they'll get multiple shots at it, and you'll have, in this case, 4 harpooners going after. But, yeah, that's a lot of work, and he's saying that, no, you have one person who's responsible. You should have one person who's responsible for throwing the harpoon and killing the whale, and they shouldn't have to row. Maybe do the coxswain's job of, saying, okay, stroke, stroke, stroke to get everyone rowing together. But aside from that, they shouldn't be doing any heavy working. So I don't know if whale crews ever took up this idea. No one hunts whales anymore, or very few people hunt whales anymore. And it's all done off of, power boats. So this is the end of chapter 62.